Ba-ba-ba-ba. Hey, what's happening, everybody? How's it going? It's Mikey Wine. You guys know me as Gundam Money Works, and we are live as always on Wednesdays at this time. So we got Julius, who's in already, and he's he says he's organizing Greebles, watching a little of the original Gundam series while he's waiting for this to start. And that's awesome. And then we got Nick, who popped in, Mr. Left with Questions, who says he's just having some brownies and a glass of milk. So must be nice. Anyway, this is part 6 of the 135th scale Gundam main battle tank, the M61A5. I can never remember that. Giovanni is also in, who just popped in. And so how you guys doing? Good to see you. So I got 99%, well, maybe 90%, 99% of the painting. Well, no, let me start over. I got most of the painting. I still got to mask off a lot of these little, those non-slip panels that are on the top of the tank, including basically the whole surface of the body of the tank, the turret. And then once I spray all those, then I'll have most of the paint done. But I do have a majority of the base color down. So I'm just going to go briefly down here so we can kind of see the bench. You see, I just put this together just a little bit. Now I'm going to take it all back apart in because I've got to start masking this. I've got my little masking plate under here. But yeah, so I think it's looking good. I also spent some time finishing up the photo etch that we did the basket last week, and then I had to do these little tiny chains, and I'm going to zoom in. I'll show you these. For the smoke launchers, there's a little tiny cap and a chain that's attached to it, and it was kind of a pain to do all 8 of those, 4 on each side. And yeah, we did that. So what I'm going to do is just kind of roll this off. I've also painted the stainless steel ring here on top of the turret. That's where the commander sits, or the guy with the, what kind of gun is that? I think it's listed in here. I can't remember what they call it. It's like a heavy machine gun. But let's see if I can find it really quick in the booklet. It is the 13.2 millimeter M60 that will go here. And then there's another smaller machine gun that goes on the back. Yeah, let me zoom in. Let's just do that real quick here. So Giovanni says, hello, everyone. Hello, Giovanni. Good to have you, my friend. So we'll zoom in. I'm going to twist this 90 degrees so it will come off as soon as we get to that point. And then I'm going to be working primarily on this piece tonight because I got a lot of, there's actually a lot more space, but there's quite a few of these little panels, and I'll try to zoom in so you can see those. But first I want to just bring up these. If I can zoom in quick, you can see those. On the front, there's a little chain on each one of those little smoke launchers. There's a little chain link cap attached to each one, and there was 4 on each side. So you can see those chains hanging down off each one. Yeah, that was a fun little project. That's something I did this week because there was no way I was going to try to do that on camera. It's just too tedious and kind of nerve-wracking there. So I am going to pull these turrets off, or the actual barrels off of the turret, so I can set this aside. But as you can see now, I've got all of the basket done and the primary paint down for the most part. And then I've got to do all those darker gray panels for the non-slip surfaces. And then we'll consider this part done. I might actually paint these vents too. There's little exhaust vents here. I might do those in that darker gray as well. The other thing I popped in here, you can actually see the lenses, those green lenses that go all the way around. Those are popped in there just for tonight, just to show everybody, but I will be taking those back out, and it's just a glass piece you can see inside there. I'll just be taking that piece out just so I can finish doing the painting, and then at the last moment I will pop that in. That's also the same for the body here. You can see there's those green lenses there as well. There's 3 of those right where the pilot basically sits, the driver. So I've got my masking glass here, my masking plate ready. to go, and extra tape on the at my within reach, because I'm probably going to have to replenish this several times through this whole process. But I'll be using a lot of 1mm tape at first, just to outline all of these, and then I can fill in the gaps with some of the thicker tape. Well, I'm using 3mm, 2mm, or this is 10mm. Oh no, excuse me, 18mm. All Tamiya tape, except for the really thin stuff. This is some kind of a Japanese tape. I can't remember the brand, but something I picked up at IPMS. One of our vendors there is really good. She is always very, very nice and always has a good supply. It's a good vendor that they go for glue and some oddball stuff like these really thin tapes, that you can't find anywhere else. They usually have it, and that's why I love going there. But I'll probably end up missing them this year, unfortunately, because I have to work. So fortunately, I've stocked up and I've got plenty of tape and things to go. On the skewers here, I still have I've got the hatch here, which is painted a darker green on the inside, more of a cockpit green, and then the outside. So that will be attached to the back of the turret as well. It goes later on when I'm doing final assembly. That will pop on right about here. And of course, I'll have the commander in the seat, so this will be open. There's also on this is a little bracket which goes on the back of the basket for the small little light machine gun. It goes on there, and I've also assembled those. So I haven't finished painting them. I've only put the main black coat down, and this is actually a Mr. Color, and it's a LAC01. It's specifically for painting small scale weapons. It's a black color that's for like machine guns and stuff. It says it's, you use it to paint your 1/12 scale guns, but it also works for obviously 1/35 scale stuff. So those are on skewers in process. The last thing I have on the skewers here is the exhaust. These pieces, once we pop these off, if I can get this one to come off. Go. These will go on like so. And then, okay, that's painted with a burnt iron color, and that's Mr. Color number 28, I think. No, that's steel. Steel's 28. 61. 61 is burnt iron. And I will touch these up with some sepia or some bluing to make it look like they are, obviously getting hot as far as the exhaust pipes are concerned. So I can take those off and mask those separately as well. I'm just keeping kind of everything together as best I can at the moment. So I've got fewer parts on the bench, because if you look at just the bench here, still got a ton of stuff. I finished all the suspension as well. Let me zoom in again. I like masking. I find it relaxing. Yeah, it is therapeutic, I think, but at times it can be hell, and that's what I call this episode, Masking Hell. I hand painted all the pistons. You can see the suspension arms and the pistons there, with the piston portion painted with Tamiya enamel X11. That's chrome silver. I also did the suspension arms in the darker gray, which is Mr. Color 317, and that's what I'm going to be painting those non-slip panels with. I say panels, but it's basically almost like a grip tape that's on the top. They use it on top of aircraft in certain places for when crew members are walking on an aircraft. There are certain places you can step and where you can't step, and then of course by the cockpit you want somebody slipping and falling off when they're trying to get in and out of the cockpit. So that's the kind of idea that I'm going for here. So I'm going to be painting that in the same color, so you can see it's not terribly dark compared to the primary body color, but there is enough contrast there that you will be able to see it, and it will be. Plus, when I panel and everything and add some grime, those should highlight a little bit more as well. All right, so let me just move some of these pieces aside here, so I've got plenty of space to work Obviously, I don't want to damage the turret. Keep that in good one piece. I'm gonna pop these fenders off and actually start with these. Still got our fiber optics. I've got the center lights there are painted with that chrome silver. They almost look like they're lit up, but they're actually just painted with chrome. But those are going to be eventually painted with a clear red, because that center is supposed to be a red bulb in the middle, or amber. Actually, I think it might be amber, so I might do it in like a turn signal. So I may do it in amber. I'm going to do some research on that and make sure that I'm using the right color. But either way, it will be a clear color that goes over that silver, and that will make it look like a nice backlit bulb that's not necessarily lit, but it's still metallic looking, still lit, still highlights quite nicely. Giovanni says, what did he say here? I got some liquid mask. For some reason, when I use liquid mask and the top coat, the liquid mask is really hard to remove. Well, it might be. It depends on how heavy of a top coat you're doing. I haven't used liquid mask with a top coat. The only time I've ever used it is when I'm trying to do a very obscure, a masking job with something that's a color separation or something where it's not easily done with masking tape. So I could see that being hard to remove because, it will kind of seal everything. So because top coats tend to be a little bit heavier, maybe a little thicker, depending on your application, and they can. Actually, I got to turn this off. I just realized my phone is still. Put it on vibrate so I don't have all those notifications coming in. But getting back to that, if you use a little bit heavier top coat, it's going to seal that on there, so it might be a little bit harder to peel up an edge and actually remove it. But it is very useful, and it does definitely have its use. So I'm going to try to bring this close to the camera so you can see. I don't know if you can really see it. I can see these individual panels. Right now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's about 12, it looks like, just on this one piece alone. So if I bring it up here, see if I can get it to focus. Come on, focus. Focus. There we go. All right, if you look right here in the center, you can see a division line there. There's 3 rectangular panels, and that's what I'm going to be masking off it. And they're different shapes and sizes all over the top surface of this tank. So it's going to take quite a while. There's 3 in front here. There's about 3 or 4 right in the middle, and then another 3 or 4, actually 5 on the back piece here. So let's get started. Another thing to be aware of tonight, we have some really crazy weather going on. Yesterday where it was like 78 degrees. Today it's not quite as warm, but still warm. And we've got some weird weather system coming through, thunderstorms, up to maybe even quarter-sized hail. And that's supposed to happen later tonight, but it might actually hit us during the live stream. So I'm going to say thanks for joining in. Thanks for watching, because if we lose power in the middle of this, I might not be able to say goodbye. You know what I mean? So anyway, the first thing I'm going to do is I think it's going to be easier. Some of these have, rather narrow separation between, like these in front almost have a 1 millimeter separation line, which will make that easy. But I think I'm going to outline all of these with the 1 millimeter tape, and then I can go back with some thicker stuff. I may have mentioned this in the beginning. Go with some thicker tape and fill in the areas around it. So just initially outlining these so I can see where they're at, and then I can go back and fill in the gaps and making it easier to do that coat. It won't take much paint after that. Once I've got them separated, it'll be actually just a quick, easy shoot over that. And then hopefully my goal is when I panel line this, that thickness variance will actually maybe give me a little bit of an edge around some of these panels, so you'll be able to see them even bigger. Angel's in the house. How you doing, Angel? Hello. He says hello. So yeah, hopefully we don't lose power. Right now the sun is out, but I was cooking a steak earlier on the grill, and then the sun came out, and then it started raining when the sun was out. It's just really bizarre. So they were advising everybody that has a car that has to be parked outside to actually cover their cars up with blankets or something. Fortunately, both of my cars were in the garage. I added some overhead storage when I bought this house, and so I'm still able to get both of my cars in the garage. I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, boy, this is kind of hard to see. I might actually have to get out the really high magnification just to be able to see some of these division lines, but you'll really be able to see these panels once I put the tape down. No tornadoes or hail yet. Yes, I know. Yeah, and that is true. We were both on a tornado warning as well. Although they did say the tornado warning has lessened as far as the chances of that actually happening. But I don't think anybody here wants to take a chance on that. So this is one of the more time-consuming, mundane tasks as part of the model scale modeling is masking, but nonetheless, it is a very necessary part of the process, especially if you're doing any kind of color separation where you have multiple colors on a single panel. I'm just going to double up here because this one is just wider than the 2mm tape or the single millimeter tape that I'm using. So I just got to put a second piece down, which makes that slightly wider. Yeah, definitely don't want any tornadoes. I mean, it's kind of surprising to me that it's something we have to think about whether or not I'm going to get a tornado. So I'm going to, I think these are less than 10 millimeters. I typically cut pieces in 10 millimeter increments, but these panels are not quite 10 mil wides or narrow, I should say. So it should work out nice. I need one longer one here just to go across the front of this. And I am struggling to see because the color is, it's kind of hard to see where the edge of those panels are. So I think I'm going to switch my glasses out here. I'm going to switch over to my eye adjusters. If you haven't seen these before, everybody in the room here, these are adjustable. They go from 0.5 up to 4 millimeters. You turn these dials in, these lenses move in and out, so you can get really close. The only thing I don't care about them too much is that the arms on them aren't that long, so they kind of catch my ears. They don't fully wrap around the back of my ear and stay on sometimes, especially like in the summertime if it's warm and I'm maybe not necessarily sweating, but you know how you get warm and then they end up sliding forward as I'm wearing them. It happens every now and then. So now I'm going to box these out here. I guess I could have gone across that entire piece, but like I said, this is probably one of the, we're talking about being a little bit therapeutic doing this kind of stuff, but it can be kind of monotonous after a while, but it's all good. It's all necessary for the effect we're trying to achieve. So if anybody else is chiming in, go ahead and throw down a comment, particularly on the YouTube channel. If you're watching on the YouTube side, that helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. And like and share and do all those normal things. Tell your friends. Facebook has started their deletion process. I just got a notification today saying there's a recording that I made on February, I don't know, something, 20 something, that is going to be deleted. So I have to download it if I want to keep it. And it's just kind of a pain in the butt because I never had to do any of that before. But now they've changed their video storage policies. So anything that I did previously will be deleted. Anything that's over 30 days. What's Julie saying? You need to get this granny chain. Well, I did buy, it's funny you should say that. I didn't get the chain, but I did buy some little ear hooks that go on, they go on the back here, and they're, you know, they hook around behind your ear. I've got them around here somewhere. I don't need them right now, but like I said, when it gets warm in the summertime, I will. But I bought those, and those work pretty good. I don't think I have a straight line here. Something just doesn't look right. I think I'm going to pull this one piece up. For some reason, it doesn't look straight to me. So I'm going to peel back these two. I think I missed on this one right here. Yep. I need to straighten that out. There we go. Just one of those things that was catching my eye, and I was like, that doesn't look... Should be a nice even rectangle, but it just didn't look straight to me. But now I've got it straightened out. Okay. The granny chain. Yeah. You're probably right, but the granny chain is just so you can take them off and let them hang around your neck. I need something to keep them on the back of my ears. That's the problem I need. I need to solve this. Not so much, you know, taking them off and letting them hang there. It's I can't keep them from sliding forward on my face. Let's start it. The nice thing about these thin strips, I mean, it really is very versatile having this 1mm tape, but it's good enough quality tape that sticks enough and masks very, very well, but it also, you can pull it up very easily. So it's not difficult to remove later on. So you've got these little buckles and stuff. I'm just trying to throw a little piece over the top of that. Kind of take in some of that. Those are the hardest areas. Doing this, the outlines is easy. Lube tube. Julia says, you have a question. Let's bring it on. Put it on screen here. Julia says a question. Question is, what type of scribe tape do you use for scribing on a curved surface? Like a mega head. Well, you can use, I've used for curves, especially for like rounded type surfaces like that, not so much curved lines, but even curved surfaces. I've used the Tamiya masking tape that is for curves. And I mostly use this is the 2mm. It looks like white tape, but it's kind of like a rubberized, but it's also thick enough that it can be used as a scribing tape. But you have to be careful because it's not as hard as a scribing tape. So you basically have to very low pressure, get your line started, and then you can go back and maybe even remove the tape. And if you have a deep enough groove, your chisel is going to try to hop out of that groove if you're scribing on that. But that's what I've done. If somebody else has a different idea, I've got regular scribing tape as well. This is, I've got some 3mm here. Let me just get that off. This is This is the 3mm tape, and I can't remember the brand on this either, but it's a Japanese brand. This is also pretty sticky, which works well, but it's not going to do curve surfaces as much. Yo, George, old school, Mr. Old School Gunpla's in the house. Let's see what he says. Scribe with Tamiya 2 and 3mm for scribing curves. So, Nick, are you talking about standard Tamiya tape or that rubberized, that white curve tape that I was talking about? And George says, "Hi, Mike, and your favorite old guy." That's right. I know you're our favorite old guy who uses his cell phone to host YouTube live streams. I did comment, but I sent that as a message, as a comment on your channel, because I thought, since you graduated away from Instagram, you don't have to worry about using your phone, because Instagram typically doesn't let you use a cell or a laptop to do live streams. They make it very difficult to live stream on a laptop. You have to have some kind of a emulator or some weird BS. But it also, because you're using the front-facing camera on your phone, it flips your image around. Everything's reversed. So that's why I said, hey, now that you're doing YouTube, why don't you try a laptop? You'll have a bigger screen that you can see better, but you won't have a flipped image, because it'd be like, especially like when you show something on screen, like a model or a product, everything's backwards. And I guess the only way to really see it the other way around is to screenshot it with your phone and then flip it. But that's just me. That was just an idea. Same white curve tape. Okay, yeah. Nick was talking about the same stuff. So Julius, try that if you can find it. It's Tamiya, and it's masking tape for curves, and it comes in various widths. I even have some that's 10mm wide that I've never even used. In fact, it's all dusty. But I've got some 5mm, 3mm, and 2mm. So you can find them in some different rolls, different thicknesses. But obviously, if you're doing a curved surface and you want to have a curved line as well, it's probably easier to use the thinner stuff. But you only have to use that for your initial line. You can use regular masking tape to fill in the gaps. But if you're doing a curved line and you just want to have that, you just use that tape for your first line. You don't have to waste a bunch of it filling in the gaps after that. Giovanni says, I use the Tamiya curve masking tape and scribe round surfaces. So that's good. If somebody else here has used it, you're too lazy to switch. Okay. Well, that's good to know. No worries there, I guess. Hey, George. Hey, Nick. Everybody's saying hi. All right. Thanks for looking for that tape now. Good. Yeah. I think you can find it or find it online easy enough. I don't know for sure. I can't remember where I bought it. I might have picked it up with that vendor I was talking about at IPMS. I may have actually bought it from her. But he said, actually, you know what? No, because I found it at our Hobby Town. So if you've got a Hobby Town there, I'm pretty sure they should have some of it. Because that's for the last time I found it. Pretty sure. I need a piece that's 20mm long. Here, I got one more long. Right now, all I am doing is outlining these panels, and then I will fill in the gaps later. Or the borders around them. Okay, so first panel here is done as far as outlining. So these three panels are where that different color is going to be to highlight that drip tape type surface. And then I've got more to do on here. But now that I've got these outlines, now I can just go through and run a border around all these with some wider tape, and then I could spray right over the top and not have to worry about getting any, overspray. You're a failed influencer. You are not. You've been doing it for over 5 years, George. And you have a crap ton of followers on your Instagram. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get everybody to migrate over to YouTube. Giovanna says you just have to start scribing really lightly. That's what I was saying. If you're using that tape, it is thicker, so it does kind of act like a scribing tape, but it's softer than scribing tape. So if you get too aggressive with it, you can kind of dig in and lose your line there. So you got to start light pressure. And then once you've got an established line, then you can go back and do a little bit, more pressure and not without fear of that jumping out. But not to say it won't happen. I mean, it happens to everybody. You think you got it, and then you go and put down a little pressure, and all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, your line goes sideways, and then you've got to use some CA glue to fill it in and rescribe it again. But at least you can. CA glue is good for that. If you do mess up a scribing line, you can fill it with CA and rescribe the actual CA glue. It will allow a chisel to scribe through it. All right, so now I'm just going to go and put some thicker tape around that. George says, don't care about large numbers as long as they hang out with cool people. That's very true. Very, very true. Yeah, it's nice to see the same faces in here every week as well. And fortunately, I would love to do this more often, but real life, gets in the way. I got a wife, I got responsibilities, I got other things going on. So I tried when I first started doing this, I was doing it on Saturdays, I think, and that just got in the way of everything that we were, family was like, hey, this isn't going to work out. So just ended up switching the days up to Wednesdays now instead. Oops, I'm a little too far over that line. I'm just trying to get as close as I can to keep these boxed out. CA is a godsend for scribing repairs. That is true, George. That is very true. I'm going to put that one on screen. Nick says, yep, I've messed up plenty of scribe lines thinking it was good to go. What's funny is like you might scribe a line and it looks great, and then you spray some primer on it and it's like, oh God. The primer always shows up all your mistakes. I think that's the most important use of primer, is to see any blemishes so you can fix them before you paint. All right, a couple more thin pieces here to cover up this. I don't necessarily have to tape off the entire piece, but I want to at least get most of the top surface covered, so when I do spray the other color on here, I don't have to worry about too much overspray. I can use pretty low pressure and get close enough to the piece that I'm not going to worry about overspray. I hate primer for that reason. Yeah, but see, that's what flat coat is at the end is for. Flat coat is your friend. It hides mistakes. So if you do have any left over, you just flat coat them and they just magically disappear. All right. So that looks pretty good there. So now you can really see these are the 3 panels that are going to be painted with that darker gray. So that portion is done. I've got 1, 2, 3. I think there's one here. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this piece, this portion alone, and then another section here with even more. So this will take some time, but in the end, it's going to be all worth it. You watch. So get rid of that. How's everybody week going so far? I'm doing pretty good, but I think the weather, a bunch of stuff going on, took its toll because yesterday I had like a sinus headache most of the day. Actually, not most of the day. It just kind of hit me about mid-afternoon, and I felt kind of crappy all day. But I went home, woke up this morning, went back to work, and just could not shake this headache. And then I also had like dizziness going on. I would turn around, working on my job, turn around, do something, and just kind of, jeez, just felt horrible. I ended up leaving early. So I'm feeling okay now. I took some allergy medication and over the counter Zyrtec or something like that. And that seemed to do the trick. But I typically don't suffer from allergies all that much, but or as far as like vertigo or anything like that. This is new for me. All right, so this is going to go. I think that panel goes right up to the edge. So I get it right there. Okay. Dude, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay, George. And George says, are you masking and painting the texture anti-skid surface in a different gray? Yes. I talked about it maybe right before you got here. So this is number 25, and it is a dark sea gray. This is the primary color that you see on most of the pieces. This anti-skid material, anti-slip, I should say, is going to be done in 317. So pretty close, but just enough that you can see the difference. I didn't want to get it too dark. Here's an example. So if you look at the suspension arms, those are done in the darker gray. So that's the contrast that you're going to see. It's going to be subtle, but it'll be there. And I'm hoping that after doing panel lining, it will highlight those a little bit more, because you might see a little bit of that texture left in the panel line solution, like the panel line, the Tamiya stuff or whatever. I can even use the Mr. Color stuff. I got a bunch of different colors, but I'll be using black panel line color. So once I put those down, it should highlight that a little bit more. That's what I'm hoping for. If not, it's still going to be gray. It's still going to be that little darker, and you will see those separation lines because of the different colors. So I think it's going to look nice, but the only way to find out is to actually do it side by side like that. You'll see the colors side by side, and you'll see those different panels. Giovanni says, I will send you pics of the kit that I painted that used Tamiya white masking. Oh, are you talking to Nick, or who was wanting to know about no, it wasn't Nick, it was Julius. You gonna send Giovanni, you gonna send him the pictures? Or me? Which one? You tell me. I mean, I can pass those on if you send them to me. No big deals. So just gonna keep moving forward here. I got 3 strips of this 1mm tape on my glass masking panel here, because I knew I was going to go through quite a bit of it outlining these panels. But at least most of them, the separation between the panels, like there's 2 long rectangular panels here, but this separation line right in the middle is really just 1mm. So it's really nice to be able to just throw down a strip of tape. I don't have to do any extra trimming or anything. It's just going to be quick, like right here, right down the middle. This will separate those 2. So there's one here and one here. I've noticed too that because of this color, for some reason, this paint, oh, you're going to send it to me? Okay. So, Julius, I will forward those to you when he sends them to me. Those pictures. And then you can, hopefully you'll find that tape. For some reason, this color, because, I don't know, it's just something, it messes with the camera. And it likes to make the focus flutter in and out sometimes, depending on how close I am to the camera. Oops, I went too far with that. There's like two panels very close together, so I can't go too far this way because I still got to outline one over here. Okay, there we go. Excuse me. Oh, Handred's in. How you doing, Mr. Hasaki Art? Good evening, gentlemen. Good to have you too, my friend. Thank you for joining. Handred is an amazing artist with a lot of years of experience. So I recommend following him as well. All right, so now I've got a few of those lines down here. I'm going to put one. Oops. Lost my blade here. Much appreciate that. Oh, of course. Absolutely, my friend. That's what we do. We share our experience and our knowledge to all those who would take it, basically, and who's blowing me up? Oh, you're sending me those pictures? I hear my phone vibrating over here. So yeah, it's what we do. This is what part of this process is, sharing our techniques and our abilities, and hopefully someone will benefit from it. You know, not everybody in the room is going to learn something new every week, but hopefully the people that do come in on a regular basis, or get the new people in, they will benefit from what we're doing here. So I think I'm going to roll out. I gotta find some 2mm here. So I've got a strip in between two panels here that is about 2. If it's a little bit wider than 2mm, that's fine, because I can just run a second one side by side. So give me a sec here while I lay down a strip of 2mm tape. We've got a separation right here, and so I think if I go, I better go almost 3mm or 3 centimeters long with that. I'll probably need, I'm going to need a second strip, which is fine. Handred says exactly. That's, I'm not sure what, I'm going to fat finger that one. I've always made my whips shown as tutorial to show how I did it. Not that my way is the best way, just the way I do things. Yeah, again, that's a perfect example. It's just like, there's never, oops, I went too big there. I got to cut this down. There's always more than one way to accomplish a certain technique or a task. And I'll just go this direction. But yeah, if it works for you, someone else can. And I'm sure there were some things that I had learned from somebody else that over time, it's like you develop your own little tricks. How long was that? Let's see here. 2 centimeters. Okay, so I'm just going to go back. Take 2 off this time. 3 was too much. Almost 3. You modify it. You modify someone else's technique to suit you better, and it doesn't always, you always have to do it verbatim. Crap. I needed it just a slightly longer than that. All right. Not a problem. That's what I got these little pieces for. Plop down one right in the middle here. Build like a friend. Build like a fiend. Oh, I thought you said friend there. Yeah, George, I'm so glad you switched to YouTube in the truck while I found some time to work on the kits. I watch your videos. Yeah, I typically, unless it's a weekend, a lot of times because I don't catch him live because of the time difference. But I do try to listen to it on my drive into work most days. It's been both an easy and weird. Yeah, I know. Especially this morning, you were getting hammered with a bunch of what seemed like a bunch of either trolling or just ads, people trying to sell something, or just being downright rude. That happens too. And I noticed that because I use StreamYard, and I can stream to 3 platforms at once unless I pay for more. My current subscription has me streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. But I was going to say most of the time, if I get a weird one, it's from Twitch. I don't know why. What's up with people on Twitch, but you get some really crazy comments and just stuff that you would say, stupid. Basically, not going to tolerate it. That kind of crap. You think you figured out how to prevent this or slow down the garbage? Yeah, that's good. It's a learning process, a little bit of a learning curve, I think, but you'll get it sorted out. All right, so just trying to. We've got a few of these panels that all intersect, so I'm trying to make sure I got enough. So it's almost wide enough. So close. I don't think. Well, we're gonna try it. Let's just see. It's gonna zip down all 3 of these. I know some people can take the tape off and just tear it off, but I prefer to have nice clean edges. So that's why I use the ruler. Yep, came up just short. So we will reuse that. Does I have an admin? No, I don't have an admin. Having an admin in your live streams would help. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, you talked about that this morning, actually. Bots are the one thing, but let's see. Let me put this on screen. Bots are one thing, but I don't get why people do that. Waste their time, do something productive. Yeah. Or if they're just downright, rude. I mean, I had somebody say something very inappropriate on my live stream. It's just like, and it came straight from Twitch. I'm just like, really? Full of weird sack of people garbage, George. No way of fixing that. That is true. There is no way of fixing that. So I need to go at least 2 centimeters. So I think what I'm going to do is just do a couple, actually, do one piece all the way down here. Let me measure this. So 4 centimeters, I'll do it. All right. Okay, I'm going to outline this. I was trying to put one of the thicker pieces down, but it's becoming too problematic with these buckles and little hinges and stuff. So I'm going to outline it like I was doing before with the thinner tape, and then I can go back and fill in the gaps. There we go. Yeah, that works out good. I deal with morons on a daily basis on the road. It's mind-boggling how people take care of themselves. Very true. Very true, Andrew. Because you're a driver, right? Didn't we establish that last week? You're on the road quite a bit as a now I'm going to do the other side. So I got one long strip on one, and then I got the second half of that. All right. Getting there, but you see how it's going to be rather tedious. So this is 2 centimeters. Will work for that. Yeah. To get those straight. Takes a second sometimes just to get them nice and even. Yes, this is one of the front fenders. In fact, this is the part where the headlights go through. So if you look at, see, it's this side. Whoa, what the hell happened to my screen? What the hell? That was weird. I must have hit something on my laptop when I lifted this off, and it just like my screen went really weird. So this will go on just like that. There's the headlights. So yeah, I had this sitting up on my keyboard, and it must not have liked when I lifted it off the ground. Are you masking camo? No, I am doing I'm separating the non-slip panels. So there's a lot of grip tape on the top surfaces of a tank. When crew members are walking around, obviously you don't want to slip and fall. So there's a textured. It's actually molded into the kit too, which is nice. There's a textured non-slip panel or non-slip sections that I'm outlining. So I'm going to paint them in a darker color, slightly darker than what you see there. In fact, I showed these just a minute ago. Number 25, this is the primary color that most of the kit is painted, and then this will be the darker of the two. And it looks a lot like this. So if you look at the suspension arms, that's done in that darker gray. So there will be some contrast, not a whole hell of a lot, but that's okay. That's what I'm going for. I don't want it to be too dark, but I want to see that little bit of a, it's kind of like two-tone. Yes, exactly. Two-tone finish, but only on those panels. So like for instance, this is that front panel here. There's only 3. The rest of this will be all that lighter color. And then these little rectangles are going to be, there's even more down here. So it's just going to take time to outline all these. The top of the turret has a ton of little ones all spread around the center area here. I mean, just in this area alone, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 different separated panels in different like geometric shapes, including here and here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. So 20, maybe 21 on just half of this. And then there's the other side that you got to do too. So, and then that's not even talking about the entire top of this. There's some on top of the exhaust here. There's some in the back, all along the front. All of those have those separated panels. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time, but we'll get there. I'll be using pretty low pressure because I don't need to be putting a lot of paint down. It's not a big area, so each one of these is pretty small. So I'll be able to get in close with some relatively low air pressure and paint these pretty well without getting any overspray or bleed through. Did you thought about the base and the diorama? I have kind of briefly. I haven't really planned much of it. I've been kind of thinking about the diorama base on and off, what I'm going to do. I'm not sure if I'm going to pull out the Rambarel set for the Zaku head that's in there. That also has some figures as well, which will work out nicely. But that's as far as I've gotten with that. I haven't really put much more thought into it because I'm just trying to get through the tank painting process right now, and then I've got to weather it and do all that normal stuff. So shoot, I don't think that's going to work there. Well, I guess I'll use it over here. I've also got in the back of my mind, there's a commission project that Giovanni wants me to start. So I've been thinking about that too. And whether I, depending on how deep I'm going to go into this project, whether I'm going to shelve it and do his commission first or not, I'm not sure. So that's another thing. That's why I haven't really been putting a whole lot of thought into it. I'm just getting through the initial process of the tank. Don't worry about the diorama later on. Zaku head. Yeah, it's a good idea. It was probably one of you guys that thought of it. Because I forgot. I knew I had the set, but I didn't equate the two together because I wasn't thinking about the scale. And I was like, well, it definitely works great with the scale. It's the same scale, so it should work nice. Just trying to get as close as I can with this. To limit the number, a little bit of overhang. There's a lot of little latches and stuff, and that's what I'm having trouble with is covering up those little latches without deflecting the tape to the point where it doesn't cover where I need it to. All right, I'll cut up some more pieces here. I'm just going to, actually I got one more here. I usually grab from this side because I'm right-handed, but I had some extra pieces over there from the last project that I hadn't really, nope, that's not going to work. I almost covered up some panels that I want to leave open that I had already cut, so that's why I've got this gap here because I had some leftover pieces that I'd already cut. Ooh, that was close. Almost ran over into the next panel over here. That's the thing I got to watch for. Is like I'm looking at this too, and I go to frame it off, but I forget there's another one here, and so just trying to get it down without covering up other stuff that I need to leave open. All right, I've got to fill in this whole middle area here, so I think I'm going to use a few strips of 3mm tape. I need at least two. Let's see. 3mm would do it, but oh, I've got another little piece right here too. Yeesh. Okay. I gotta cut a small one here. It can't be a full 10mm because it will cross over into another area I don't need. So I'm going to just finish off this last line. There we go. Getting dark over your house, huh? Yeah, well, right now, let's see what it looks like outside. Ooh, yeah, I think I see that big cloud over the top of you, Angel. Oh boy. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I said, boys and girls, we might lose power. We'll see. This is going to be one crazy storm coming through here. So I think I'm going to do... Oops, that was 1, 2, 3. That's already 4 right there. So get 2.5. Storm in Cali? No, I am not in California. I am in Washington State. I used to be in California. Yeah, stay safe, Angel. Yeah, both of us. Thanks, George. Yeah, don't worry about Mike. Just stay safe, Angel. We're supposed to get up to quarter-sized hail, and just we're on a tornado watch right now. It's really bizarre. It was like 78 degrees yesterday, and all of a sudden now we're getting hammered by some weird thunderstorms and lightning and all sorts of stuff. Screw you, Mike. The old jokes are coming back to bite me, hey George. I figure, he doesn't watch me live all the time, but so I get away with trying to talk shit about him, and then he comes back and watches it later, and then I hear about it. I'm hearing about it. That's right. I'm still chasing you. I know you're a little older than me, but we're all chasing you. All right, so there we go. Now that I got to go back through and fill in these little areas here. In this panel now, I've got a real tricky section here because it steps down, but I've also got like a trapezoidal shape here. So I guess we'll do a 2mm. Trying to see where that starts. See, I've got a piece of 2mm here that will work well, I think. Right across the top. I watch every choo-choo coming through. Every one of my videos, I hear what you say about me. Well, good, because I was hoping you did. I wasn't just blowing in hot air. I was kind of hoping you would. It's all in good fun. We can't laugh at ourselves, or we can't laugh at each other. What good is it? So this is that kind of oddball shape here. It kind of takes a curve and then it does a straight line down the side, but it's also raised like on a pyramid type. It's going to take a little bit of extra care to get this strip just right. There's also a really thin strip in the center here. That's even thinner than my 1 mil. So I might have to cut a custom sliver here of tape. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take one of my larger 18 wide pieces and I'm going to just cut off a sliver. I can peel it. You're outside? Are you sure you want to be outside, Angel? Exactly. We all need to laugh more. Yes, exactly. All right, so this is going to go separate these two. This is an odd panel here. It's got a thinner division line, thinner than 1 mil. So I cut a sliver off at about maybe slightly thicker than 0.5. That should do it. All right, now. I think I can get away with 3. See how long it's gonna be. Ooh, I gotta fill in over here. I just realized that I almost missed a section here. And I got an edge right along the edge of this ridge. So I gotta cut off 2 more pieces here. On the nose, George, you mean the politics you've been worrying about? Oh, yeah, let's not do it. I don't talk about politics on my channel. Not gonna do it. It's gonna take the whole live stream just to do one stinking fender, man. Well, I knew this was going to take time, but you know, I wish I had something more interesting. But this is part of the process. So, all right, I'm gonna go with a 3 mil piece here. Let's see how long. Yeah, I'll go with 3, just to make it a round number. In my opinion, we have come to point out in our lives that some things are out of our hands and worrying about frustrating and damn difficult. That is true. Masking hell. Yes, you are correct, sir. That's okay. I know you do. Sometimes you lean over that, sometimes in yours, but that's something that I think would get in the way of the reason we're doing this. This isn't a debate. It's about model building. It's about sharing techniques and enjoying the hobby. I mean, I respect other people's position. If they want to do it on their live stream, that's fine. No problem whatsoever. But for me, I'm not going to get into a debate. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there, folks. We got some time left. Hopefully, I can wrap up this fender in the time it takes me. A whole hour and a half. And that'll give me some baseline as far as how long it's going to take to do this whole tank. Now, I'm not going to just stop this project this week and then take it up next week. Hopefully, I'll be done with the masking part by before next week. But at least we can see most of the process of at least getting some of this done. It's Hendred says it's just me on the road. I come across people that think they are on the ride and act accordingly. It's irritating, but I can't do anything about it. Okay, I'm just going to say that's it. Let's not talk about it anymore. I get it. You're out, right or left. I don't care. I have my feelings about it, and I'm not going to share them here. And I understand, you're on the road. You probably meet a lot of different people. But, let's not spoil the mood. So I'm just putting down some more strips of 3 mil here. I'm getting low on my 3, so a couple new ones. Angel's like, nope. That's true. We were headed that way. Okay, so I think the last little square here. Unfortunately, the last 4 panels are all rectangular shape, so it's not going to be a little bit easier. It's not this kind of oddball stuff. What I'm dealing with now, there's a little bit of a raised panel here, but these edges, the edges of this tape have to go right across this raised surface, so it's a little bit. I know I put a piece down underneath here, but I'm going to have to one more, because by pressing down on it, it kind of pulled my edge back slightly, and I don't. Oops, a freaking piece of lint there. Still there. Get out of there. Ah, come on. It's like a piece of black lint. I couldn't see it until I got right up next to the model, and then it's like, there it is. All that's going to do is get under my paint. I can drink and relax watching you. We've all been. Cutting pad for masking? Yeah. Well, it's actually a God Hand that makes this. I bought it at Universal, or was it International Hobbies in Seattle, where I saw one of these for the first time years ago. And I used to cut right on the mat. In fact, you can see a bunch of like slices on the edge of my mat here, because I used to put the tape all along the bottom, but this is a lot cleaner. The tape stays, remains stickier longer. It lasts a lot better than it would on the mat. And of course, I'm not dragging my arms across it, so it doesn't get in the way. Doesn't mess it up. So that worked out perfect, because this piece is, or the gap here was just 10 millimeters, a little bit under 10. So I was able to go right across both. I might actually be able to use a 3. It looks like I am between these two. Let's see. The thing about masking, especially after a while, tend to peel off, especially in tight corners. Yeah, that's true. It is. That is a good point, Andrew, about masking, because if you do this, you want to make sure you're painting. You're going to start, painting whatever you're masking off in a reasonable amount of time, because the longer you let it sit, your edges will tend to start lifting in some places, not always, but particularly where you've got overlapping tape. And that's been my experience too, is like you go to paint something that you didn't really look at. It's been sitting for a bit, and all of a sudden you get paint underneath the tape or overspray or something like that. So that's a very good point to at least go into this knowing that you're not going to waste your time and so I think I can get away with just kind of blasting through this, because these last 4 panels on this are rectangular, so I should be able to make short work. Once I get that first edge down, there we go. I've got a little bit of an oddball piece in here to fill in. That's what I use on the bottom of my mat. I've got a lot of, extra pieces of stuff. This is some of that curve tape, but then I'll have like a little triangular sliver that I just had cut off from something else. It's like, what can I use this for? And then I find out, I got a little triangular piece right there. No, I'm not wasting anything. Waste not one, right? Just going to cut this in half. I'm going to grab a couple of little strips here and just fill in this last little piece right here. Don't want to see any bare plastic underneath. Okay. Now, I'll cut a couple more. I already got them cut. Double or triple handling the tape also weakens the adhesive. That is true. Hendron has a wealth of knowledge tonight, making nothing but excellent points. So yeah, you definitely want to try to put the tape down and not mess around with it. I am going to just try to cover this up just a little bit in the front here, just in case of overspray. All right, a few more strips. And this is 18 millimeter wide Tamiya tape. I'm cutting it into 10 millimeter wide strips. I'm using the thinner stuff to outline these panels. So these two are done, outlined. I've got 2 more here, one here, and that's it. So I'm just going to use, I guess I can use some, well, there's a strip of 2. I could use 2 millimeter down the middle. See, this had a 3 mil gap. This has got a 2 mil gap. So go ahead and cut that. Just put that division line down the center. Julia says, I think that the oils of your skin affect the stickiness. True. But one thing I have noticed is good quality tape. By all means, use good quality tape. I mean, it can get expensive. I understand. But you will thank yourself in the morning when and you get up and you look at your project and the tape is still down, it didn't lift. The cheap tape will definitely yield cheap results. And it's, like I said, I get it. It's expensive. I understand that. But it's important. You're not only that, but you're going to get a cleaner line, too. Cheaper tape will not produce its good line. I mean, I don't always use too many tape. In fact, a lot of the 3mm stuff you're seeing and the 2mm stuff, I just bought in bulk a bunch of rolls online, and it was some kind of Japanese company. But I have bought cheap tape before, and it doesn't even stick to itself. I mean, it's just horrible. And you end up fighting with it more than you end up painting your project. And it's just like, God, it's such a pain in the butt. So not only are you going to save time because you're not redoing something over and over and over again, but the tape's going to last. Like, I can get up tomorrow and this will be fine. I might have a couple of little edges where I've got to maybe just tap something back down, but it's not going to be ridiculously lifting, nothing crazy. All right, I should have cut 2 of those. I gotta, like this stuff. I'm not wearing gloves. Obviously, it'd be kind of hard to tape stuff if you're wearing gloves. And the tape's just going to stick to your gloves too, but. All right, I should be good with one more piece here. All right, now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this one in half so I can just get these corners. I don't want to have any overspray. This is the back of the fender. It's going to be close to the body. Probably won't see it anyway, but I don't want to have any of that overspray, even though that color is pretty close to the color I'm painting, or I've already painted on there, so you probably wouldn't see a little bit of mist, but now I'm just kind of going through and covering up all my border edges here. All right, so let me cut a few more strips so I can cover up these edges, and then we'll be done with this piece. And this is something too you could do if you're traveling. It's like you want something to do because the glass mat is certainly small enough. You could put it inside a model kit, inside a box, and it'd be fine. It wouldn't be any issues. A big bulky glass mat, It's all about quality materials, and brand and expensive tape for tight and small areas, cheap tapes for big ass areas. That is true. But even I found this. I mean, this is a roll of Tamiya. In fact, I think I bought it from Tamiya, but here's a full roll of it. It says Kamoi tape, Kamoi tape. But anyway, that's a brand new roll of it. But it's pretty. It's cheaper as far as some of the stuff. But one thing I did notice is sometimes when you peel it off, it leaves little bits of the tape glue behind, so you can end up with on top of the tape, not on the glass mat so much, but just on top. And you get these little tape glue boogers or whatever on there, and you got to try to get them off. But so all I'm doing now is just covering up my edges a little bit on the sides, just so I don't get any overspray. But like I said, I'm probably going to be using pretty low pressure. I don't think I'm going to need to worry too much of the sides. I'm just getting some of the stuff that might catch a little bit of overspray. The rest of this stuff is I better tape this anyway. Frog tape. Yeah, I've heard about frog tape for medium and large surfaces. Yeah, I've heard about frog tape. Is it actually green too as well? Is that why they call it frog tape? You know, I will say one thing about masking hell. You go through this process, and then there's nothing more satisfying though at the end of it all, when you finally peel everything back off, and you have this giant mound of peeled off tape, and it's just like, oh, yeah. And you look at the results, and they're just awesome. That was the one I went through when I did when I painted the Metal Gear Rex. To do that Splinter camo, and yeah, it was so satisfying to peel that off. And just be like, oh yeah, it's definitely satisfying. All right, not much left here, boys and girls, and we're almost time to wrap this up. So I will be able to kind of show this off when I'm done. Is there anything else you guys need to see? Who's taking off? Good night. Nick's taking off. All right, buddy. Good to have you, my friend. I won't be jealous that he's going to bed so he can be up for George's live stream tomorrow morning. It's all right. He's in Texas. I think he's closer. He's allowed to, right? All right. So, and we can take the magnifiers. Okay, so all that just for that. So you see all these pieces here. I mean, this is what it looked like before and after. Let's see. Let me take this off screen here. Oops. Where am I? Whoa. There it is. I had that one on the screen too much. Yeesh, what did I miss? Missed a lot. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it's because I just accidentally hit the mouse and everything rolled forward. Liquid masking in junction with regular tape. Yeah, that's true. You could do that. Good night, everybody. See you later, Giovanni. Good to have you. As always, I'm going to go back through the list of people here in just a second. So here's before and after. These panels are identical as far as I can tell. I think they are. There's a few variances on the turret. There might be some differences between left and right, but typically everything is the same both sides. So that's the process. It took me an hour and a half to do one fender. So there we go. That's what it's going to take. So we're probably looking at least 3-4 hours of masking, maybe even more, depending on how long the turret takes. There's a lot of little delicate things on here. I did show these earlier. I'm going to show that there's the little smoke dispensers in the chains, those photo etch chains I put on each one of those caps. You can see those hanging off the sides there on both sides. Thanks, Julius. I appreciate that. And you can see the glass lenses. I'm going to pop that out before I do any flat coats, but that's what that's going to look like. So the glass will be nice and clean. I've also painted the stainless steel gunner's ring that goes around the heavy machine gun and mounts to that, and that's where the turrets, that little portion slides around in a circle there for 360 degrees of machine gun fire. And then you got the photo etch that we put in last week in the basket there. It looks nice now that it's all painted, all the same color. I got the ladder, the folding ladder. This is done. This folded up. It doesn't unfold. You'd either have it deployed or not. I decided to leave it in the up position for the sake of this project. So yeah, looks sweet. Thank you, Hendren. Shiny metal. Yeah, that actually came out good. That's Mr. Color. This is a Super Stainless number 204. That's one of their super metallic line. But yeah, that's just over the black Gaia Notes GX primer. No black. I didn't do any black base. I just did that right over that, and that came out nicely. Came out awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. So with that, everybody, let's go back to the list here. I got a lot of comments tonight, so it's going to take a while. I got to go to the top. First in was Julius, he was in before the stream started, talking about his organizing his greebles, watching the original Gundam series, waiting for the stream to start. Nick dropped in, eating brownies and freaking drinking milk. What a nice guy. Thanks for sharing. Then we had Giovanni, Julius again there, and then Angel popped in after that. And then we had George, and I think that was it for everybody in the chat, not necessarily everybody in the watching the stream, because we had 10 or so watching at one time or another, but then Handren was in there as well, of course. And as we make our way to the bottom, I think that was it. And then George telling me to screw off. It's all good. It's all good. All right. Mr. Color, Metal Color. First version you could buff it, huh? Wow. That's cool. Yeah, I was satisfied with it. I used to use all clad, for any kind of metallics, because I just wanted that really great shine. But ever since it started having issues with their black base, and it still works with a regular gloss black paint, but after I started using the Mr. Color stuff and they came out with their super metallic lines, it's so much easier to throw it in the airbrush, just like any other paints. But their metallics are really good, and I have, I think, at least one bottle of every one of those. I've got 201 is the first one. That's the super fine silver. 202 is a super gold. Let's see here. We got 203, which is the super iron. This is number 204, which is the I said stainless steel, right? Oh, that was super stainless steel, yeah. And then 205 is titanium, and then it goes into a different poem after that. So I think I'm pretty sure they've got some other colors too. But all right, you guys, thanks for joining in tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you as always. And of course, please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends about it. Let's support the channel, especially the YouTube side of it, because after 30 days, all these videos on Facebook are getting deleted. There's really no way for me to keep them unless I download them, but that really doesn't do any good anyway on my Facebook page. So if you want to see something that I've done before in the past, support the YouTube channel, because everything will be there. None of my videos are getting deleted from there, of course. George, have a good night. Mike, thank you so much. Mr. Killer is a real lacquer and known for a known quantity, but no, what the what the fuck, all clad. Yeah, I know, right? Good night, everybody. Anyway, thanks again. Be good humans. See you next Wednesday. I think, yeah, we're still in March, right? Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah, I think I will be in school in the middle of April. So I think we've got at least one or two more broadcasts before I got to take a week off, because I'll be in Portland. So again, with that, everybody, thanks so much for hanging out, and